I gaped at Ace in disbelief. Nothing justified his actions, absolutely nothing. Why did you kidnap Simon? I asked once again. He rolled his eyes and deadpanned as I said, no one messes up my wedding. What if he interrupted our peaceful wedding? I hate messes. Just because you hate messes doesn't mean you can prevent them. You have to clean this mess, I explained to him. Simon must have hundreds of questions, which I don't even want to answer, he added to my sentence. Even his face is annoying. I narrowed my eyes in his direction. You never mentioned that you hated Simon before. I just didn't say anything because I thought you were happy, he responded curtly and met my gaze. But after learning what he did, it pulled out the last string of my patience, Ava. I shook my head with a sigh and smiled when I saw Dad approaching us. Be happy, I mumbled to Ace. Are you blessing me? He deadpanned. When I glared at him, he said, that's called act happy. Be happy sounds like you are blessing me. He smiled too while looking at me. Damn, you are great at finding mistakes, I uttered. That made him chuckle. I'm a CEO for a reason, Mrs. Valentino. It will take a long time for me to get used to this title, I told him. Ace entwined our hands and said, Valentino is way cooler than rainstorm. Do you even realize it's the combination of rain and storm? Oh wow, you are so smart, I said sarcastically. Kid's dad interrupted us. He had a bright smile on his face. He was happier as I got married to Ace. You guys are really made for each other. You know, I always wanted you two to be a thing. Fortunately, you two realized the spark of love before it was too late. I was really worried for a while. Are you saying you didn't like Simon too? I arched an eyebrow. When Dad averted his gaze, Ace stood for Dad and said, no one actually liked him. We all tolerated him for you. Well, here I thought I was making Dad happy by agreeing to marry Simon. You guys should have told me before. I crossed my arms against my chest. Well, sweetie, all's well that ends well, Dad announced. Now you guys better leave. I will handle this boring reception party. We can stay, I interrupted Ace. Thank you so much, Dad. This party is killing me. I am so damn tired. I was tired of greeting older people. Good. I squeezed Ace's hand and stopped him from speaking further. Dad chuckled. Ace, you can call me Dad. I always treated you as my son, so it's high time you call me Dad. Ace nodded his head. Okay, Dad. It really felt good seeing Ace and Dad's bonding. Ace had a genuine smile on his face when he called Dad. Ace's father had passed away 10 years ago, and that was a week before we met. I was the one who gave him support at that time. Let's go then, Ace told me, and we walked outside the Kace mansion. My belongings were transferred to the hotel we would stay at tonight. Tomorrow I will go back to youth with Ace. I never thought I would be going with him as a Valentino now. We got into the car and Ace started driving. He loved driving. Ace, are you going to free Simon now? I asked with full curiosity. He twitched his lips while his eyes were glued to the road. I'm thinking of keeping him captive for a week. What do you suggest, Mrs. Valentino? First of all, no, don't you dare do that. Second of all, why are you calling me Mrs. Valentino repeatedly? I added, third of all, just free Simon now. He has to go to his girlfriend whom he impregnated. As an answer to your question, first, I was just thinking. He looked at me this time, our gaze meeting. Second, I will continue calling you Mrs. Valentino until you get used to this title. And third, I will free him before leaving for you. I shifted my gaze and looked outside the window. Are my belongings in the same hotel we are going to now? Yes, he replied curtly. To keep the conversation going, as I didn't like silence much with the people I knew well, I further asked, at what time would we leave? About that, he trailed off. What? I glanced at him, arching an eyebrow. I didn't know I would take a wife with me to Utah, so I intended to leave at 4 in the morning. As soon as he said that, I checked the time on my wristwatch. It was midnight already, which meant I had only 4 hours to sleep. Please tell me we are going to take your jet, I uttered. It took only around an hour to fly from Denver to Salt Lake City, so I could sleep peacefully after reaching the Valentino mansion. My chain of thoughts came to an end when Ace said with a nervous chuckle, "No, as I said, I didn't know I would take a wife with me, so I thought to drive back home, all alone, and chill during the long drive." A gasp escaped my lips. I looked at him, bewildered. No way in hell am I getting up at 4 in the morning just to travel for 8 hours in a car, Ace Valentino. "But I didn't know you would tag along with me," he reasoned out. "Look at me." I pointed my index finger on my face. When he arched an eyebrow in confusion as he looked at me, I said, "Does it look like I cared?" He sighed and looked back at the road. "Fine, I will see what I can do." I crossed my arms against my chest. "Let me tell you, I am not leaving this city until I get 8 hours of my beauty sleep. Nothing will happen if you don't sleep exactly 8 hours a day," he deadpanned, and the car stopped. I glanced outside to find out we reached the 5-star hotel. "Nothing will happen?" I asked in disbelief. "You are not a woman, so you won't know." "Know what?" "Every time I get less sleep, which is less than 8 hours, I get a pimple on my forehead. I can't get pimples on my beautiful face. I hate pimples." I placed a hand on my cheek, thinking of the times when I had pimples. Pimples don't define beauty, Ava. With that, he got out of the car. I was astonished. I know we have been friends for a long time, but we never talked about this stuff. It felt nice knowing he felt that pimples didn't define beauty. Ace opened the door for me and I stepped out. Pimples surely don't define beauty, but it's just that I personally hate pimples. Every time I get them, it hurts my skin. I told him my opinion. He gave me a curt nod with a smile. I was glad both of us had the same opinion on beauty. Inner beauty was what mattered the most. In that case, Ace was the most handsome man I have ever seen. His outer beauty is just a bonus to make girls jealous when I claim him my husband.